Tired, I cannot tell you. My eyes were just frozen. And I lay down on the bed, and I swear the minute my head hit the pillow, there was a knock on my door. And it was Adi. And he said, "Baba wants to see you." And I threw on some clothes, and I ran. And I ran and turned the corner and skidded to a stop because Baba's door was right in line with the gateway of his little pen, you know. And he was standing there in that coat. He had the coat on, and he was smiling, and his eyes were dancing like, and he said, "Don't I look handsome?" And then he started teasing me about how unreliable I was, you know, that you tell Tex to do something and he does it in the next life. And, things like that. And he did said something else, but I've forgotten what it was.
Did he mention about the pockets?
The what?
The pockets.
Never mind, that comes later. Oh, it didn't go anywhere, let me tell you. So eventually we go to the airport to see him off. And the Sufis were in charge of that whole trip, and they did a very good job of it, I must say, arranging and everything. And they took the movies. All of you have, I'm sure, have seen them. And there was one shot of Baba, a big shot, full shot, nobody inside, and he hand is slipping down. So anyway, that is the story of. Oh, and then 25 years later, I know it had to be that long. I was down at the center one time, and I saw the Australian film of Baba's arrival in Australia. And it was a handheld camera, a terrible film. But it was, and the plane comes in, and it lands and everything. And finally the door opens and Bob steps out in that coat. Naturally, he was in it in San Francisco, and so he was in it when he arrived in Australia. And so that's the story of the coat. And if you have a question, it would help me very much if you have a question. Of course, you know better than to ask the philosophical one, because I don't know any of that.
It's about the coat. There's a section of the film in San Francisco. I think he's in the airport and he's walking with a crowd.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
In San
Well, there are pictures of it, but he had a lot of blue coats, apparently. And a lot of blue coats with white buttons as well. And
pockets.
I saw one picture that had wonderful footage of him. And he did look good in a drape instead of fitting. I thought, anyway. And, well, anyway, and I've only seen that film. I don't know what it is or where it is. But that's a very good one. And there are pictures of him in that coat, but most of his coats had collars. They didn't have them, it seems to me. Anyway, there are a lot of blue coats around.
Did yours have the stand-up collar? Or
Huh?
Did yours have the stand-up Indian collar? Or
It's a Nehru collar, you know, just a band. They're very comfortable. And they were very popular. I made him very chic. They were very stylish at the time.
Where is the coat now?
In the archives someplace.
Oh, really?
Buried.
Mm-hmm.
It's not buried.
Huh?
It's over there.
Yeah, it's somewhere over there.
Yeah.
In the Australia movie, was
I don't know what happened to the white one. That's what I wondered. I don't know if he ever wore the white one.
White ones.
What's that?
He had a number of white ones.
He had a number of
Oh yes, I know.
But
That's
Tex,
it.
what was it? It was white woolen gabardine?
Yes,
And what sort of collar did it have?
Nehru.
It was a Nehru collar. as
Yes,
well.
also.
Did it
Yeah.
have pockets?
Yes.
Did
It
it have
did.
a drape?
Huh?
Was it
It's a
fitted?
drape. Yes.
Yes.
where did you learn how to sew?
I beg pardon?
Where did you learn how to sew so nicely?
My father and my mother both were. My father was a very good tailor and my mother. And in those days, a lot of women made that, you know, they were hard times. My mother made all of our clothes practically. And they never taught me,
Yeah.
but I was around it all the time. And occasionally I would have to do things like pull pins out of things that they had put and so forth. And I would sit at my father's feet and he had a big silver thimble, a tailor's thimble, which doesn't have an end in it, it's an open end. But if I did something wrong, he didn't say a word, oh, that thimble. If I tried to make a shortcut, my father always said there are no shortcuts. He was a very wise man. And he said, you can make shortcuts, but they're always wrong. There are no shortcuts. And he was busy, I thought, but he would, oh no. And of course, I knew exactly what that meant. But in my case, you know, I was fortunate enough to spend that time with Papa, but compared to, you know, people, his mom and so forth, it was very short. And to make something directly connected with Papa, to work with your hands, like when I did the chair, which was torture, when I rewove the chair down in Myrtle Beach. But it's directly connected to Baba. It is a very, very special thing. I can't describe it, and it's always difficult, at least it is for me. But it's an enormous privilege. So enormous you can't talk about it. And there is an air about it that is really and truly magical. And obviously we're supposed to go. Okay, Jai Baba. Thanks, Tex.
You're welcome.